Hi everyone, and welcome to the webcast on functional strategies. Functional strategies are a way of looking at and analyzing an entire firm's activities. And largely we do this through Michael Porter's value chain, which is an arrow, so you'll hear it referred to as both value chain and functional strategies and the Porter's arrow. All of those are the same thing. Porter's value chain arrow is particularly helpful because it subsections organizations up into two different types of activities. The first is primary activities, and those are the actions that an organization goes through that it got into business to do. So if you have a restaurant is in business to make and serve food and deal with customers. If you have, if you're Boeing and you have a very large airline manufacturing plant and facility and purpose, that's what you do inside your operations function, along with all of the primary activities that are related to that. In contrast, across the top, you have the support activities. Nobody got into business to do human resources or have an IT policy or system or to figure out where to purchase from. But those support activities, the reason they go horizontally over the top of all of the primary activities is because those activities touch each one of the primary activities. So when you change one thing inside purchasing, it changes your inbound logistics all the way through your service. When you implement a new technology system, it has the potential to change the way you do business in all of the primary activities. And so those stretch across horizontally because even though you didn't get into business to do them, they are the activities that support what you did get into business to do. And the primary activities go vertically because largely they are sectioned up. In fact, you'll even find organizational structures that represent whole departments for logistics, other departments for operations, and so on. You also find that is essentially a supply chain in effect, and so the product moves down the line, if you think of it in that way. You'll find that some organizations sub out their primary activities to other firms, even some of the support activities, so accounting and finance are usually grouped into that bucket we call organization at the top of the support activities. And those functions are sometimes hired out through other firms, that you would have an accounting firm who runs that for you. But all of these are represented in some way, shape, or form in every business. So this gets at the functions, the activities that happen inside an organization. It also helps you to analyze the decisions that an organization makes, which I will tell you about in just a minute. Let's walk our way through some of the primary activities though. When you look at inbound logistics, what you're really talking about is how you get the materials that you turn into your products. So those are raw material inbound logistics typically. So when you're talking about an organization like Tesla, they actually get very large, very heavy spools of sheet metal and they stamp out their own car parts from that. So their inbound logistics involve decisions about sheet metal, essentially involve how you get the sheet metal. So do you have it brought into you by truck? Does it come by train? Those are questions that you usually ask yourself inside this. When you look at operations, that's almost always what you will identify a company as doing. The company, when it has a manufacturing capability specifically, you're talking about that happening inside operations. When we talk about outbound logistics, we're talking about how you get your product to your customer. So if you have a bakery, like Buddy's Cake Shop on the Food Network, that outbound logistic becomes very important because if you can't get the cake out of your bakery and to your client's site, all of which is outbound logistics, done by his cousin, who drives the truck and anchors the cake in the back and all the rest of it. If you can't get your product to your customer, then you don't have a business. All of your inbound logistics and your operations are useless. Inside marketing and sales, you guys will recognize those product pricing, promotion, and place decisions that you end up making inside marketing and sales. On occasion, you'll find that these kinds of decisions are done through other industries. So when we talk about auto manufacturing, marketing and sales and service are all run by the distribution portion of that supply chain. So those organizations, the dealerships, they run the marketing and sales and the service. Although the auto manufacturers will run national commercial spots as well. But that's one of the major things that Tesla has changed about their primary activities, is that they handle all the marketing and sales on their own. The service box includes the customer service that happens while the purchase is being made, but more importantly, it includes the service that you do after the product has been with your customer for a period of time. So you're talking about repairs if you have to do them, returns if you have to handle any of that. And every company has to deal with that box in some way, shape, or form. So when you're looking at the auto manufacturers or the auto dealerships, one of the reasons that they exist, one of the reasons these two industries are so interwoven, is because of that repair box. The dealerships exist not just to sell you your car, although that's a portion of it. They also exist to service the car afterwards, to keep it up and running. And that's why we have such a wide chain of distribution in this country. That's why they command so much power over the car manufacturers in many cases. So those are your primary activities, some examples of them. In contrast with your support activities, if we start here at the bottom, if you start with purchasing, you're looking at decisions that impact all of your primary activities. So if you run a restaurant, you can choose to source your materials locally. So you only purchase from farmers markets, and I'm sure you know of some restaurants that make that a possibility. There's a nationally famous one called Chef and the Farmer that had its own TV show on PBS. They only sourced their purchasing decisions in the restaurant, which was run by the chef, who was the wife in this couple. They were only purchased from the farmer, who was the husband in the couple, and that's how they did their purchasing. Their purchasing decisions changed the way they marketed, changed the way they sold their products. It changed their inbound logistics daily. When they ran out of Brussels sprouts in the back, they started serving something else because they couldn't just go to the store and get more. If there were sweet potatoes in that year, but there had been a blight on something else, then they ran with a lot of sweet potato recipes. So those purchasing decisions impact all those other boxes. Likewise, so does technology. Technology represents any form of technology that you use to communicate with your people, that you use to facilitate your logistics processes or your operations. So Tesla uses a lot of robots. That's part of their technology activity. And it impacts, again, every box, as you can see. And those robots, because he named them all after X-Men characters, end up being a big part of his marketing. It's a huge part of who he is, with the quirkiness of his organization, that he uses that technology support activity. Also, you have human resources, which has to do with how you fire, hire, train, and retain people, and which kinds of people you choose to hire. So you'll find that there are some organizations that only hire specific kinds of people for specific kinds of jobs. Those are human resources support activity decisions that they make. And also you have the organization box, which is a box that includes a lot of miscellaneous categories, including where you place your organization, because sometimes location is very important, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes you just need to be in an industrial park with lots of area and space to spread out. It also includes your accounting and your finance support activities, which clearly impact all of the primary activities across the bottom. So that's a good overview of the value chain. The thing that's really, really important to remember about the value chain and about all 9 activities that go along with it, the 4 support activities across the top and the 5 primary across the bottom, is that fit really, really matters. If you make a decision in one area, in one of those 9 areas, you need to make sure that it matches the decisions that you've made in the rest. So if you are a low-cost provider like Walmart, you can't make a decision in your human resources functional strategy to only hire people with master's degrees, because you'll need to pay them more, and it doesn't match that low-cost strategy. It doesn't match your operations. It doesn't match your purchasing decisions. And so you'll often find that the strategies that are the hardest to implement are those ones that involve a change for an organization in a functional strategy in a way that does not fit. This has been an overview of functional strategies. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.